Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome into Studio Live today in GarageBand Weekly for yet another year. Happy 2025, folks. If you can believe it, you can believe that it's 2025 already. I'm still having difficulty saying 2025. On this week's show, yes, we'll be taking a look at the guitar because another year has passed, and yet again, we have nothing new in the world of guitars here in GarageBand on iOS or on Mac for that matter. So, why is it that we don't have any new guitars? And can we harness these? Can we improve these guitars? Can we make something a little bit cooler by using a few tricks and workarounds to get some more realistic guitar sounds? Well, that's what we're going to find out in just a little while. Welcome in. We'll go through some news and notes. If you do have questions, though, feel free to leave them right here in the chat. If you're here live, just put a big Q in front of your comment. I'll know it's a question and I'll see if I can answer it and help you out. We'll do some news and notes. We'll say good day to the folks who are here live as well. And then we'll dive on into some guitars. All right, news and notes. Welcome to 2025. Yeah, we've got all of our live shows are back, and we've even got a new show, which we'll talk about in a moment. But if you want to make sure you keep up to date, there's a couple of things that I wanted to recommend to you. Number one is to make sure you're on the mailing list. So you might not know this, but every week I send out a newsletter. It's got all of last week's videos in it, it's got all of the live shows for the next weekend in it, and it's really quick and simple. I don't spam you. I send one, maximum two emails a week. It's not like every time I scratch myself, I have to send you an email. It's a summary of what's been going on around here and any important news that you might want to catch up with. The other thing you can do is bookmark studiolivetoday.com/live because that's my live show list. So if you go there, it will take you straight in here to YouTube and it'll just have the latest live shows. So this is this weekend's live shows. We have the podcast, we had the happy hour, we had Your Music Live, and we've got this show here right now, GarageBand Weekly. So just a little tips on how to watch, how to enjoy Studio Live today in 2025. As Thomas is saying here, the other thing you can do is go to the GarageBand FAQ. That's at studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand. So if you're looking to learn GarageBand, that is the best place to go because it's all free and it's all good. And you can find links to all the playlists and all the tutorials on how to learn GarageBand. I had a question this week too. This wasn't in my notes, but just a quick heads up. If you're learning GarageBand for Mac, if you're transitioning from iOS to Mac, I've been promising for a while and haven't done yet my introduction to GarageBand Mac. But while you wait the many years and potentially decades for that, just go check out Patrick at thegaragebandguide.com. He is the GarageBand guru, in my humble opinion, and he's a funny dude as well, and he's got a cool accent. So go check out thegaragebandguide.com if you're on a Mac. We have a new show. You might have checked it out, or you may have seen the notifications about it, but we're doing a new show every week just for 30 minutes. It's called Let's Find Some. Not Let's Get Some, Let's Find Some. And it's Let's Find Some Punk that we did in the first week. And it's good that this bloke here is here in the chat because coming up on this week's Let's Find Some, we're going to find some metal. So yeah, I'm going to be delving and digging into the depths of Bandcamp and seeing if I can locate some metal music. It was really fun last week because I found a few bands, and already some of those bands I've reached out to and said, "Hey, you're cool. Here's my community. Come and hang out if you want." And one of them let me know, "Oh yeah, we're on tour at the moment, so I can't really chat, and we don't really have a lot of time, but we're out on tour." And I'm like, "That's cool." Good. I love hearing that bands are out there working. And the other band, Licklash, who are a duo from Melbourne, got back to me and commented on the actual video saying, "Hey, we're us. Thanks for finding us. That's cool." And now I'm sitting and listening to Licklash, and we played them as my Pete's Pick on Your Music Live yesterday. So I don't know. I love the idea of just having this random music generation where you just go in and through the serendipity of putting a few search terms into Bandcamp, we find some cool music. So yes, Licklash absolutely rocked. So yeah, join us for that. 30 minutes each week. And again, for those folks that don't have a heap of time but still want to find some cool new music, then you can join us. Oh yes, there will be folk, there will be jazz, There will be lo-fi. If you got genre ideas, throw them at me because we'll be checking. What does someone say? Gothic rock. Well, that's going to get a little bit niche, but maybe it's the internet after all. You can find these things on the internet, can't you? The only other news and notes that I wanted to throw out there, if you missed my podcast last week, check it out. Not for a self-serving thing, or at least read a quick article. But the TLDR or TLDW of it is there's a plugin for your browser called Honey. And if you want to support the likes of me and other people with the purchases you make through affiliate links, don't use Honey. It was and probably still is hijacking those links using some borderline dodgy practices. So if you are, say, trying to support a creator or an artist and you're going to a website to buy something because they sent you there because they have affiliate links, make sure that you've got a clean browser before you go there. And it actually also includes things like ad blockers or cookie blockers. If you do that thing where you don't accept the cookies at the front page, it may not track that and it may not give the credit to the person you've gone there to help. So just keep that in mind. Look, if you don't want to, that's cool. I know there's some people that are like, nah, I'm not letting any company have any of my data. That's fine, totally your choice. But just keep in mind that by doing that, you're not supporting the affiliate link won't work. So the only way the affiliate link works is if you go straight through and make a purchase immediately, or if you don't make a purchase immediately, it adds a cookie that says for the next 24 hours, if Thomas Christ buys something from Amazon after clicking your link, then that will be accredited to whoever it sent him there. So just a little keep that in mind thing. And look, you know what? I get it. I'm frustrated by ads too. Websites in particular are just covered in ads, so I understand why folks use ad blockers. But for your average YouTube creator, we kind of do rely on it. It is at least a chunk, if not the majority, of our income. So if you're able to watch an ad or at least not use ad blockers, it does help us out. Or better yet, go with YouTube Premium because then you never see an ad again. It is the best thing, and you get YouTube Music included for free. For free, it's part of the package. So YouTube Premium is the way to go, in my opinion. You don't have to buy Spotify or Apple Music. Then you've got your music sorted, you've got your video sorted. You're good to go. Yeah, you can suckle at the alphabet teat like me. Premium, dude. Premium, dude. So that's it. That's our news and notes for this week. I told you it was going to be a quick one, but I just wanted to put that stuff out there. In terms of Apple and GarageBand news, you might be thinking, well, what's going on with them? Nothing. It's the 7th of January or the 6th of January for some folks. Yeah, you don't, there's nothing happening. We're not expecting anything at this point in time. And in fact, if there was Apple or GarageBand news, it would only be bad news. It would only be that something has broken and there's an emergency or there's something that needs to be fixed. But thankfully, or I don't know, just because, no, there is no news. No news is good news in January. If Apple come out with news in January, it's usually that something has failed dismally. Absolutely. So, in case you weren't aware, excuse me, in case you weren't aware, when you get YouTube Premium, you get YouTube Music as well. And I don't know that enough people know about this. I think, Thomas, I need to do a video on this because I don't think people realize that YouTube Music is not just like a nice little add on. It is almost identical to Apple Music or Spotify. The catalog of music on all these streaming platforms is almost identical. And you can do everything. You can create playlists, you can create likes and favorites, you can put together your own albums and your own mixes. There's a radio feature where you can say, here's a song, play other songs like it. It integrates with your YouTube, so you can have sort of playlists that cross over between YouTube video and YouTube music. It works really, really well. And I know, look, big corporation, but guess what? Spotify, big corporation. And, people, oh, it's evil, Apple evil, Spotify evil, YouTube evil. Yeah, is there one? I mean, you could go someone more independent, like a Tidal or a Deezer. It's much of a sameness, really. And YouTube Premium, yeah, another vote one YouTube Premium because it just makes life a little bit nicer, doesn't it? Hello to the folks who are here live. We've got Mark Bro, we've got Thomas Christ, we've got Leela. G'day to you, John Swanson. Hello to Gary Hubbs. Hello, Tremor, Bear Milk and Cookies, or Apple and Cookies, maybe. Yeah. G'day, Joel Crouch. During your coffee time, yes, I'm cranking the coffee as well. My first coffee of the day, in fact. Don't tell anyone, but I may have got up about 30 minutes ago. Hello to you, Paul O'Farrell. quick coffee sip for those who like the ASMR. Yeah, feel free to hit the like button. That does help. It's a free way to help brighten my day. G'day, Eric B, our resident guitar shredder. TC Ryan from San Diego. I hope you're doing well. We've got Amelia Gamboa Leon here as well. Hello to you, my friend. And if I've missed you, there's Al Davis. There's Crank Monkey. I'm going to go with that. Hope you're all doing well and having a good old time here in 2025. We do. We have mods. We got mods. We got lots and lots of mods. All right. So yeah, that's the intro, and that's the news and notes. Let's dive in, shall we? And get our guitar on. So, if you've been living under a rock, you would not know that GarageBand has guitars. Or you might even be in the blissful ignorance of not knowing what the GarageBand guitars sound like. But in case you don't know that they exist or what they sound like a little something like this. So, is this terrible? No. Is it going to set the world on fire with its acoustic sounding goodness? Also no. The other things that we have in here. So you might be thinking, oh, but there must be other sorts of guitars. Yes, we have an electric guitar, and it sounds a little something like this. And I got to admit, when I first started using GarageBand many, many years ago, I thought these were all right. Yeah, they're all right. And they still are. But here's the problem I have is that we're 8 years later and nothing has changed. Just one thing has been added to this, and that is these roots rocks and roots wah. So in fact, there's just the roots wah. We had the roots rock. Roots wah sounds a little something like this. But we can wah it up. Does anyone else can't resist the urge to go wah, 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 wah with your mouth when you're wahing? Me too. So yeah. So how do these guitars work? Well, they work like any of your other smart instruments that we have here in GarageBand. So when you come out here to your carousel de instruments, you'll see here that we have keyboard and we have drums, we have guitar amps, but don't be confused. That's where you're plugging in your own guitar. And we're not covering that today. So we're assuming you're not a guitarist or you have no guitar to plug in and play. So what can you do in those cases? You got strings, you got audio, we got bass. So the other guitar that we have is the bass, which, if I'm honest, the bass sampling is actually way better. Hands up if you agree that the bass guitar in GarageBand, especially the P bass, but even things like the Liverpool bass, actually sound way better. They sound a little bit more like actual bass guitars than the actual guitars do. So that's, to me, that's one of the more disappointing things is the strings in GarageBand sound pretty good. The piano is a Steinway Grand that's been sampled beautifully. So if you haven't played around with the piano here in GarageBand, it is amazing. Like the keyboard instruments are just really, really good. So if we come in here to the keyboards and go to the, especially the classical Grand, it's it's just really nice. So I'm a little baffled. Guitar seems to be the final frontier. So we're going to go through a few tips and a few ways that you can maybe create some better sounding guitar tracks. But to do that, we're going to jump out and we're going to create a new song. We're going to come in here to a brand new song. So let's us grab some drummer and just throw some drummer on here to start with, just to give ourselves a little backbeat. Are we going to go with Kyle? No, we're going to go with something different today. Let's go with someone we don't often use. Let's go with Nikki, shall we, with a little indie disco just to kick ourselves into the groove here. And we're going to just make this 16 bars. So we'll bring this up and we'll turn off automatic and we'll give ourselves 16 bars of backing track just to play around with. Let's give it a play. That's pretty funky, Nikki. Very cool. Hello, Wild Red CC. I'm not using a MIDI keyboard in this particular, but yeah, good point. And I'll show you some tips and stuff where a MIDI keyboard can come in handy a little bit later in the show. All right, so Nikki's our drummer, and we've got some drums laid down there. Now, before we dive into the guitar, let's show you a couple of other things that we can do. First of all, let's go out of GarageBand because what's the closest thing to playing in a real guitar to play along with Nikki here? Well, it's to go and download some guitar loops, isn't it? So why don't we go to one of my favorite websites, which is called freesound.org, and why don't we search for some guitar? So let's see if we can search for disco guitar. And by the way, this is a free site. You do have to log in, create a free account, and then you can use it. So I've got a disco guitar loop here. But the other thing I want to do is make sure I can actually use these. So when you do this, check these attribution licenses. I'm going to check Creative Commons 0 just to make sure that anything that I use in here, and thankfully this one is, anything I use in here is actually going to be usable without attribution and able to be used in a commercial track. So the good thing about all this stuff is that any of these loops that I bring into my project are going to be able to be used in my songs. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Here's a caveat. If you're doing stuff like this and you're using loops that you can get from a free source, just be careful and cautious that someone else hasn't already used that loop and put Content ID on it. How do you know if they've done that? The quickest and easiest way to do that is to create your demo song, put it into just a very basic video, and upload it to YouTube. So if you do that, it'll actually check, it'll go through YouTube's algorithm. Leave it as unlisted, it'll do the check, give it 24 hours. If there's no Content ID or copyright claims, you're good to go. But the reason that this is such a problem is that there's people that create beats and that create songs that use all these free loops and samples. They then release them using someone like a CD Baby or a TuneCore or even DistroKid, but not as often DistroKid because DistroKid charge you for YouTube Content ID, which I think is a good thing. And then other people go to use those same free loops and samples and they get pinged by the creator, who's not even really the creator. It's a pain. So let's take a listen to this and see what it sounds like. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? So I kind of like that. So let's download it. We'll click on it and we will hit the download sound button. And I do like this app because it's very clean. A lot of apps like this have lots of like buttons that look like they're the download button and they take you to another ad or something and it's weird. So freesound.org is my favorite here. So there it is. We're going to download this sound. It's going to download it. There it is. It'll put it here into our downloads folder. We can tap on that one to open it up here. Now, what I can do is send this straight over. So if I save this to files, I can save this straight over to my GarageBand file transfer folder. This is what I suggest you do. Just send it straight here to GarageBand file transfer, save it in, and then when we come back to GarageBand, like magic, bing, a little blue dot there. So now all we need to do is tap on this one and find that sound that we just got, which is this one here, and drag it in. But first, we need to make sure that we're in the right tempo. And we are. By absolute pure coincidence, we're in 120 BPM, and this is a 120 BPM track. But if that wasn't 120, you'd want to actually bring it on in. And thank you, Thomas, who has dropped the link there, freesound.org. Not affiliated with them at all. I just use them, and if you're looking for like free sounds, they're the best site because, again, clean interface, very minimal ads, and they don't. They have all that attribution information, which is super important. So let's grab this now, drop it on into our project, and you can see there that it's only a 4-bar loop, but let's just give it a quick play. That's not bad at all, is it? Now we want to be able to loop that out, so no problem. GarageBand got you covered. Tap it, tap again, hit loop, and check that out. It's going to loop it, and now we've got a cool little riff going all the way through. There you go. Yeah, look, it's through trial and error, Gary, and through getting pinged too often. Especially if I'm doing something like a tutorial like this. If I was releasing this as a video, because someone may have used this, and this may be on this whole video may get Content ID flagged now. It's a live show, so I can't really tell. But if I was doing this as a tutorial, I'd make sure I actually uploaded it unlisted first, and then just waited, and then made sure. Because yeah, believe it or not, but folks like myself and Patrick, we get pinged sometimes. We're using the demos. Some people have used the demos of the sound packs in GarageBand and put Content ID on them, so that any suckers like us that try to demonstrate these on YouTube get copyright claimed to some sucker that's released a song that is literally just the demo reel of a sound pack in GarageBand. Yes, I know. You're like, what? People are that much of giant dicks? Yes, they really are. Quick question. Is it possible to turn off integration of the YouTube topic channel I've merged with my own channel? Can you go back? We've showed you how to go there, but can you go back? So I'm assuming you've got a YouTube music artist channel and it's merged with your topic channel, and you want to go back to just having your own separate YouTube channel that's not merged with your topic channel. I don't know, but let me tag that question, and if we have time at the end, I will come back to it. All right, so that is one way. And look, you're going to get some pretty good quality sounds there. The problem being, though, you often don't know kind of what key these are in or what the notes are going to be or the melodies are going to be. For instance, if we now wanted to, say, play some bass over the top of this, we'd have to find out what key that's in. So let's do that. Let's do exactly that. So we'll come here just so that we know what we're working with, and we'll load up the bass, and we'll just see. We'll go to the notes mode. Let's just see if we can work out this guitar. So it looks like it's a B down into an A. And again, if we just wanted to check that, the easiest way is to go to a keyboard. So bring up your keyboard sound and play along with this. So we're kind of sitting there with a B into an A. So it's just important to know that if you're using loops, because now we can build the rest of our track using other sounds around that. So you could go and then try and find yourself a bass loop to go with this. So let's see if we can indeed do that. So if we go search sounds and we go bass in B, I don't know. We'll experiment. We'll see. No results. So we'll just go disco bass. Let's get ourselves a bit of a disco bass sound. So we've got, see, this may be by the same creator. They may have actually created this to go with it. Let's find out. Maybe. It'll work well. So we can use that one, or you could try and find something else. So here's one. And you can see but some of these are at like different speeds, which can make life a bit more challenging. Should we go the easy route and go with that? Oh, there's a disco funk loop down here. Let's just see what this is going to be. Oh, that's completely different. What about this bass down here? Yeah, so this is the challenge that we have here, just finding something that's going to work. But this one looks like it might actually match with that first one. So why don't we download this and we can add this into our project. But yeah, there'll be some trial and error doing this. Often if you try to use external loops, it's not going to always work as easily. So we'll do the same thing we did before. We'll grab this, we'll share it, we'll shove it in our files app. We're already here in GarageBand File Transfer. We'll save it in and we'll jump back over, go to our little dealie here, find this disco bass loop, drop it down here, over here, and then play these together. Does it work? Not really. So it's kind of in a different key, and this is what you're going to find with this sort of stuff. So you can then like try and play around with this. If I wanted to, I could just, make this a 1-bar thing so that it kind of followed. And let's just see if this is going to do what we want it to do. Or you could make it even less than that. You could make it like 1/2 a bar. So it's just playing that first note and just loop that over and over again. But yeah, it does not really fit in there. So we're going to delete that for now. We'll get rid of that there. It does. It sounds exactly like Knight Rider, doesn't it? That it's the Knight Rider theme from the TV show of the same name from the 80s. All right, the other thing that you have, you might be thinking, hey, wait, Johns, doesn't Apple have Apple loops? here in GarageBand. Can't I use some of them? Well, yeah, you can. And some of those, so if you come in here, instead of being in the files, if we go to Apple Loops, we can actually search out. And if you type in guitar, you'll notice that there are some guitar loops in here. Are there many of them? I mean, there's a decent amount of them. Do many of them work really well? Not really. But the good news with this is that these guitars are a little bit more flexible in terms of the pitch, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's just find. Should we go with that one? We need something that's a little. This is the problem, because you need to find something that's actually going to be in the same key, or just use the same little bits of it. Let's try this wah guitar, because this sounds kind of cool, the Seaside wah guitar. And let's see if this is going to just, by default, fall into the same key. No, it's not at all. What I'll do to start with is we'll unloop this by tapping it. We just want to find, before it changes, we need to change that to trim. Before it changes, let's just find the right note. So if we go to set, this is where something like Logic Pro is a lot better, because it actually tells you the key that the loop's in. You kind of have to guess here with this one. So I will literally just come in here and play around with these and turn them up and down by semitones. See, that one would probably be more of it working there. So if we loop this out now, or at least the first part of it, where it does its first little half. So. And then you'd want to move it down from there. So if we copy that and paste it here, boom, boom, and then go to our settings and turn it down a tone, try and match that. So it kind of works in there. So what I'd probably do is use something like that, right, really distant, and just surround it by a whole bunch of reverb, just to create like a kind of effect in the background. Yeah, so let's just put that there, just for shits and giggles. We'll copy those. We'll copy them there, and we'll just paste them out for the rest of these 16 bars, just to show you that we can indeed. There are plenty of guitar loops in there, which will help us out. But you didn't come here to watch me put loops in there. You probably came here to see if I can actually harness these guitars and make them sound good. So let's start with the better of the guitars, which is our bass guitar, because this won't require as much finoodling to actually get it to sound half decent. So we're going to come in here to the bass, we're going to tap on this one, and to find a funky bass, we probably want the P bass, but I'll just take you through the main basses here. You've got yourself a picked bass here, which you can have like a, oops, hang on, we'll go to the notes mode. That sounds kind of cool. You've got yourself the Liverpool bass. You've got to always say it like that, the Liverpool bass. Which is more of a subtle kind of bass sound. You've got your classic P bass sound, which has that like built-in distortion and sounds pretty cool. And you got yourself a muted bass too. So there's a good range here. You see all these other ones that we have in here are all of your electronic basses. And we also have an upright bass. Yeah, if you want to get really fancy. And again, it sounds pretty cool. I'm a bit sad that these sound pretty cool. This one, I reckon we might even want a picked bass. All right, yep, exactly. As Eric says, always octaves in a disco track. It is compulsory. Now, I don't have a MIDI keyboard here, so playing's going to be, it's going to be a bit dodgy, but we'll just see how we go, hey? key there to start with. We need to be, yeah. I was starting on an A, we need to start on a B. All right, let's get rid of that crappy guitar. It's really not doing it for me. Now I think I did okay in this second half, so we'll sample that section and trim it down and just make sure this is. So yes, the Mammoth Bass Audio plugin, and hold that thought, Wild Rose CC, hold that thought, because we'll be looking at that in just a jiffy. All right, so let's loop that out so that we've got our whole thing. I'm going to get rid of this guitar. It really never worked with the track, did it? So now we've got. And one of the benefits of having this here is if we're not happy with that bass, we can come back to here and say, actually, what would this sound like with a P bass instead of the picked bass? And you can have a listen. And you can even say to yourself, well, oh, did anyone know that it did that? What? Has anyone? Oh, you tap and hold on the carousel and it brings up this menu. Really? What happens if I just press keyboard? It adds a keyboard track? Really? Tap and hold? Am I like one of those explorers discovering something that someone else already have? Am I Christopher Columbus going, I discovered land, and the natives are like, we've been here forever. I did not know that was a thing. So it creates a new track and just adds it. But you don't have to go back to the carousel. You can just tap and hold and drag down. Am I alone in never having seen that before? Oh yeah, yeah, the Knight Rider tune. Yeah, we've already had folks telling me, yeah, that's just Knight Rider. I like it. Okay, sorry, I've got slightly distracted. Yeah, there's always something new to learn, isn't there? Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. What happens if I tap and hold on this one? Nothing. Oh, there you go. The next GarageBand quick tip has been discovered. All right, so here's our track at the moment. We got bass. Let's go turn that down a bit. Blasting it through there a little. This is the problem with GarageBand. In fact, I should turn it down here, not on my mixer. Let's turn it down here. Because when you start combining more than 3 or 4 tracks, you might notice that my little meter over here is going kind of nuts. So you have to keep things lower. Yes, Kit will be arriving shortly. Hello, Michael. I get confused between Kit and HAL 9000. I can't let you do that, Dave. Or it's like, hello, Michael. They both kind of had that very smug robot voice. I'm smarter than you, human. Yeah, now it's just the Knight Rider theme. I'm probably going to get a copyright claim for that. All right, let's rip off the Band-Aid. Let's grab the guitar. All right, now with the guitar here, you got 5 different options. And look, retro wah is what we've already kind of got a wah sound. So let's see if we can. Should we use the Roots Rock? It's one that I don't use that often. And why don't we change the key here to match? What key are we in? B into A. So B, B, D, 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 D. I don't even know what key we're in, but if we just if we say it's B major, it'll give us the right chords at least, won't it? Yeah, we've got a. There you go. Yes, everyone's picturing the Hoff. Play a little riff, something like this, shall we? All right, folks, playing along at home, what mistake have I made? I've changed the key, and what has it done? It's changed my bass because I had follow song key on. So hopefully I should be able to bring this back to C, turn that off, and take it back to B. And have I fixed it now? This song is going to be massive in Germany. You're right, Gary Hubs. So let's try that again. I'm just going to do some very basic little guitar arpeggios here. All right, there we go. So we have now a nice little guitar performance here. And yes, see, Wild Rose CC is clearly an expert at this because she's already ahead of me here. So there's a couple of things that you might notice here with the guitar and some tips to kind of tame this. One is that it's almost always very treble heavy. So the one thing that you may want to look at to start with is some very basic EQ on this. And you can use other EQ plugins or you can just throw the visual EQ on here. But if we come into here to the EQ and we turn on the analyzer, just take a look at... So we've got our frequencies down here, right? But there's a lot of build up here. So what a lot of folks like to do is just roll off some of that. So here's the difference. Here's without. You can hear that kind of tinniness up the top. All right, let's turn it down. See, it just softens it. So that is an option that you have that I also get behind. Did I not play the last notes there? That was a bit silly. I'll just go there. Let's just cheat. Mr. Burns, I insist we cheat. All right. Is it going to cut off some of my notes? It is, isn't it? Oh, fine. Fine. I don't care that much. This is a demonstration. All right. So now, we've rolled off that top end there. Now you might be hearing there's actually quite a lot of processing on this sound already because you're using a virtual amp here and you'll notice that it automatically adds a bunch of reverb and a little echo. So if you're thinking, why is it every time I play a guitar in GarageBand it sounds so gosh darn echoey? That's the reason why. So if we play it now, it actually is a little bit less. Because it initially has it quite heavy. So that's another thing that you may want to check out is the processing on there. Now, like anything, yes, indeed, you can also increase the bass. Because GarageBand ends up having far too much sound build-up with the virtual instruments, I tend to cut as opposed to add. But yeah, if you have space, you can use some additive stuff there as well. You can, of course, use any other plugins you like here. Come in and hit the edit button. Now, you only get 2 slots here for some reason, whereas on your audio tracks, you get 4 slots, but it just is what it is. I'll show you a workaround for that a little bit later. But yeah, you've got 2 slots here to add other effects. So if you wanted to, you could come in here and you're like, all right, maybe this will sound a bit better with a flanger on there. And then you can play this, which it actually kind of does. And you can, of course, adjust this to now it's sounding very 80s with that sort of sound. So I've already got it in kind of a good state. Now, you may be ahead of me on this one, but there are some guitar amp simulators that you can use that are AUV3 plugins. So does that mean, Pete, that I can just come in here and I can throw on a guitar amp simulator right here on my virtual guitar? And the answer is yes, which is cool. So we're going to tap on this one here. If we come over to our audio unit extensions, here's all of the AUV3 plugins. that I've ever downloaded. Now, there's heaps of ones in here like your Nembrinis, like the Crunk, like the PSA Junior, Soundmaster. Like there's heaps of ones we could choose that are paid ones. But if you're playing along at home and you'd like to check this out yourself, download Tonebridge. Tonebridge is it punches above its weight. It's free. It's by the Ultimate Guitar folks, and it works well. So we're going to add Tonebridge here, and when we tap on the Tonebridge icon there, you can see here that last time we used this, we used the Lenny Kravitz "Are You Gonna Go My Way" intro. That and that's added this pedal now to that guitar. So, are you ready to take a listen? Let's solo it so we can just hear it in isolation. So now we've Lenny Kravitzified this guitar. And it's immediately super cool. What I'm going to do now, though, is take the flanger off, and I'll probably just reset this just so that we do have a little bit more top end for the guitar, and we can play this now. Now, it doesn't sound perfect. No, it's still using, because remember, it's still just this guitar behind, which sounds a bit like tinny and eh. But yeah, the power of Tonebridge. And the power of Tonebridge is this that we could come in here, and because we're doing a disco track, what if we go, actually, we want more of an earth, wind, and fire kind of sound to this? Oh, see, they're a bad band to choose from. Let's go Jimmy. Let's go Jimi Hendrix. Just to give us some sort of funky tone. So why don't we go with the tone from Purple Haze? Yeah, that's a good idea. All right. So this is the Purple Haze tone now. Oh, yeah. No, maybe not. So we want something a bit lighter. That's why I was looking for like a disco kind of thing. What's another disco band that we could choose here? Can we go with ABBA? ABBA guitars, Dancing Queen, the guitar from Dancing Queen. That's a little bit too subtle. Can we? I really want that. Let's see if we can actually. Maybe it's Earth, Wind. Maybe just type Earth, Wind. Yeah, there you go. It's Earth, comma, Wind, ampersand, fire. Let's get the Let's Groove. Let's groove tonight. No, I'm not a fan of that. But again, this is the fun of this. You can experiment. Let's type out Earth, Wind again. Oh, I've got to research. Boom. What do I want? I want like September or something, don't we? Nothing there. There it is. It's the very first one, Johns. Well done. There you go. Plot twist, come as you are. See, this is why I love this, folks. That's why I love folks like Gary. Come as. Now, is it actually spelled like that? I thought it was spelled differently. I thought it was come as you are. So let's go with the intro. Oh, that's the bass intro. Let's just go with the chorus sound for "Come as You Are." That's oh. Okay, so that sounds rubbish. You know what sounded kind of the best was like the first one that we had on there. Oh, what about "Killing in the Name" or "Alive" from Pearl Jam? Let's try the "Alive" tone. Yeah, that's not bad. I think if we open up that top end a bit more. There you go. So yeah, so that's an option for you. I'm going to turn it off for now because I actually kind of liked the sound of it originally with this flanger. A little bit subtle. All right. So yeah, you can see that it's pretty gosh darn powerful what we have here. Now, there's other things we can do here. So, for instance, if you, for folks who are talking about it in the chat, the other way, which I've showed plenty of times before to make guitars sound better, is to merge them, and then you've got them as a audio track. So, if you're wanting to put more effects on there, do more things with them, we can merge them down. I'm going to do it with this P bass track here. So, we've got this at the moment. What I'm going to do is merge this track. So we're going to tap on the icon there and hit the merge button. What this is going to do is make a backup of my project. I'm going to hit the merge button, make a backup of our project, and it's going to merge that track down into its own audio track. So now our bass track is down here. And now we've got a lot more flexibility with what we can do with it, which is what I'm going to show you now. Just to show you how this works, if we come out of here, there's the My Song that we've been working on. That's the original one. And there is all of our track. Actually, sorry, other way around. The original one is here, the copy. So this is our original untarnished MIDI of that. And then if we come down to here, this is the original, sorry, this is the updated one with that. Now, what I would actually do in this case, before I do this, and you're probably ahead of me on this, is before you merge, duplicate out your track. So duplicate that one, copy the MIDI data down to a new track. If you've got enough tracks to do this, it's always a good idea. And then mute out one and merge the other. And that way you got the best of both worlds. You don't have to worry about your other project. You've actually got everything right here in the one track. So merge, it merges. It also normalizes it. So you can see there it increases the volume. So be careful with that. But now we've got that original track there muted. And this is our bass track now. If you want to make sure that you know that's a bass track, you can come in here, change the icon and put bass and make sure that you know it's your bass guitar there. There we go. So now when we play this, it's going to sound exactly the same, but a bit louder. So you'll probably just have to turn down your volume. But what are your advantages of this now? Well, you can do all the same things that we did before, and you can come in here and change these up. You can add effects. You can add AUV3 plugins externally as well. So for instance, someone was mentioning the Mammoth bass plugin. We can actually add that Mammoth bass plugin. And yes, we could have done that before this as well, but we can throw that on here, and then you can adjust this. You can adjust all the different sounds that we have here in the Mammoth bass plugin. And get some nice customized tones. But the other thing you can do is move this over onto the regular GarageBand. So if you don't have a whole lot of processing power, we can just add a guitar amp plugin. So if we go to our amps here and we go to bass amps, we can actually choose one of these bass amp presets. So let's go with, say, we'll go with a distorted, we'll go with the Garage Revival because, you know, couple of treble boosts and drive pedals on there. And then what you can do is just grab this one and drag it straight down onto that one. So now you're actually running your virtual bass through your virtual bass amp, and you end up getting something like this. There you go. That's Gary's bass amp. See, I knew I chose wisely. All righty, we've got pizza chat going on in the chat here too, which is cool. So there you have it. You got a whole bunch of different ways to do this. So let's just recover all the things that we did here. We brought in this cool little disco guitar vibe for the start, and we did that by bringing it in here into our Files app via one of my favorite little places here, which is out here at freesound.org. So you can go there, you can download sounds, and you can bring them in. That gives you some pretty realistic guitar sounds. You can also use Apple's guitar loops, which are in the Apple Loops sound here. Just go in, search guitar, and find some cool guitars. The one thing I'll warn against is that there's one guitar loop, and it's harder to find now because there's so many of them here. But you'll know it when you hear it. So like the one that goes down, down, down. It's like one of the original guitars, and I can't actually remember what it is now, which is probably a good thing. But is it the Down with Funk? Yes. Because that kind of sounds cool and funky, and for the longest time it was the only guitar sound that we had here in the Apple Loops, a lot of people have used it in a lot of tracks. So I'm sorry, as cool as Down with Funk is, your song will just sound like everyone else's GarageBand song if it starts with, right? So yeah, don't do it. Uh, friends don't let friends use Down with Funk. The other things you can do is, of course, using your bass. So we have the bass, which is quite decent here. So you can use your bass here, and you can use it either in your notes mode if you want to, or what we didn't cover, and you can find videos at studiolivetoday.com/garageband, is you've got your chords mode, and there's actually some quite good auto plays here. And bonus tip, I know many of you know this, but 1, 2, or 3 fingers. If we tap with 1 finger in the autoplay, 2 fingers in autoplay, 3 fingers in autoplay. Won't you take me to a funky town? So there you go. So you don't actually have 4 autoplays. You can select all 4 here and then use 1, 2, or 3 fingers. So a lot of your instruments have 12 different autoplay riffs. So use that because it's fun. So your basses are cool. You've got your guitars, which work in very much the same way, but for whatever reason, they have not updated or enhanced the quality of your guitar samples for eons. They're kind of the same as they always have been. And then, of course, the final frontier, which is using things like your AUV3 plugins, your flanges, your choruses, your distortions, and the granddaddy of them all, your tone bridge amp to try and get a different kind of sound there in your tracks. So I hope you found this one a little useful or inspiring if you're starting out with guitars or if you're re-exploring guitars in your GarageBand projects. Hopefully, this gives you some ideas and some tips. We have ourselves about 8 minutes to go here. Silly question. You can record real guitar. Yes. So sorry, Doug, you missed the start of that. You definitely can. So this was to cover off the folks who don't have a guitar or don't know how to play guitar. But yes, of course, in here, you have all of your guitar amps that you can use here. So you can just throw a guitar amp on here, hit the record button, plug in your guitar, and record away. And don't forget, you can use all the same things. You can use all the same plugins, so your external plugins. If you don't like the GarageBand guitar amps, you can record in via a clean channel and then just use your own amp simulators in the plugins as well. So plenty of options for actual guitarists. This is more for those folks who maybe don't have a guitar or access to a guitar or aren't like you, Doug, and a guitar virtuoso. Exactly. Oh, yes, throw your guitars away. No, look, I could probably finish with this. There really is nothing like the sound of a real guitar. At the end of the day, you can. It's one of the things that is very difficult to virtualize. Keyboards, like pianos, strings, organs, yeah. Guitars, not so much. It doesn't ever sound quite as good as you get from a real guitar player playing a real guitar. All right. I think we're close to finishing up here. Could you use external microphones? Yes. How could you? So how could you use external microphones? You need an audio interface. So depending on the iPhone that you have, if you've got an iPhone with Lightning, you'll need, say it with me, folks, the Lightning to USB 3, which is the official Apple Lightning to USB 3 adapter. That has a USB port and a Lightning port. And what you do is you plug Lightning port into power to power up your iPhone or your older iPad. And then you plug USB into any audio interface, your Focusrite Scarlett, Steinberg. You could even use something like the iRig. iRig have their iRig Pro and iRig Pro Duo and iRig Pre, which is for microphones. So yeah, there's plenty of options there. There's also specific ones that plug just straight into Lightning. Unavoid those. And with USB-C, the good news is that you can use pretty much any adapter. So I use a U-Green adapter that just has USB-C on one end, USB-C power pass-through, and 3 USB ports. So I can plug in my MIDI keyboards, I can plug in my audio interfaces, and the other thing you can do is just use a straight-up USB microphone. So if you've got a USB microphone that has USB-C, or you can adapt to USB-C, you can literally plug that straight in to your iPhone if you're looking for recording that. Yeah, and that's the thing. Ample sound makes some really good guitars that sound realistic. And for whatever reason, no one has ever put a good one on iOS. I don't know why. I don't know why, but yeah. On desktop, there are some good ones. My mate Mike over at Creative Source has covered quite a few of the good guitar sims that they have on the PC and on Mac. But for iOS, we're SOL, which, as you know, means sorta outer luck. But if you do want to find all of my recommendations, so if that none of that made sense to you, jump over to the gear guide and get to that at studiolivetoday.com/gear. You can see my studio setup, and I've got all of the different adapters that I use there, ready to check out. So at the moment, I've got my Atola USB-C adapter, my powered hub. I've got my older 10 DAC powered hub that I use there. And if you scroll on down, I've got my master list of everything, including the Lightning to USB 3 adapter that I use for my older Lightning based iPhones and iPads. So you can check all of that out at the Gear Guide, and those are affiliate links. So if you make a payment and you're not using Honey, they'll break off a chunk and send it my way. Yes, how slick is Tom? Tom's just like, boom. He preempts me now. I think he actually knows what I'm going to say before I say it. That's going to do it for this one. I hope you got some value out of this. And again, welcome back to 2025. We're not going anywhere. GarageBand Weekly will continue on. I did consider a name change because we do cover more than just GarageBand. We do cover Logic Pro and other Apple news. But GarageBand Weekly just rolls off the tongue. So if you vehemently think otherwise, please let me know in the comments below. Before you leave, before you wipe your feet on the way out, if you'd like to leave a thumbs up, that just helps tell the YouTube robots to go and tell the other YouTube robots to come and enjoy the show. That is going to do it. Please, folks, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, keep creating, and I'll see you next time here on GarageBand. Oh, Frank Terzo, Community Pulse, coming up. If you're here live, I'll send you over there. Bye for now.